Okay, so I've got my tool on the top after we've laid everything out. And then I've got some hot soapy water that I've poured into a kind of squirt bottle. And I'm going to slowly start sprinkling the water everywhere. We want to get the layers wet all the way through, but not like super saturated, just wet. Now, if you've got good weather, this is something that is fun to do outside. I chose not to film this outside after the ocean mat I did, and it was like everybody decided that that was a great day to make tons and tons of noise. So, all right, I'm gonna push on. So I can see that this needs a lot more water still in most spots. That's okay. I push down, so I've pushed down some air. You want to do this slowly. It helps you control the water and the saturation level. Make sure you get those edges nice and wet. All right, I'm gonna push down again. We wanna get all that air out. I feel like this side needs a little bit more water. See, my surface is denting under the towels that I have put on there. I'll have to see if I can shift my thing here. All right. We might add more water later, but I think that's enough to get us started. I'm gonna adjust my towels under here, I think. Just shift my thing. So we're like in a dead zone over here. I guess a lot of water saturated that end of the towel, so it's condensed down. Okay, so now we've got them wet. So I'm just going to take my little mini bar of soap here, and I'm gonna rub that over the tool. That is going to help with this felting process. Whoops. My rings always get caught, so I probably should take those off. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take my rings off. Okay. All right. So I'm going to keep pushing down on this to lock those fibers, right? And I'm going to just start rubbing. So push and then rub gently. Don't like really, there's something pokey in here. Oh, maybe it's just the edge of the bubble wrap. Okay. So you don't want to disrupt the pattern of the fibers by pushing down and then doing hard circles. We're not to the hard circle stage yet. So as you're rubbing, if you see areas that your fibers are not that wet, then we'll pick up that water bottle and go back through. So I've got a couple fibers up here at the top that I'm realizing need to be wet more. You know, those edges are the ones that are gonna get you maybe. Okay. And then if you've got some, I realize that you can't see it, so I'm gonna bring it down some. You see how my edges right here are like that? I'm just gonna tuck it under so that when I go to felt, that'll be felted down. So I'm just gonna tuck that bit under. Okay, same thing over here. Just gonna tuck that under wherever it's like excessively sticking out. Okay. Cover it back up. All right, so since I just did the edge, I'm gonna push down first before I start rubbing. All right, rub, rub, rub. All right. Whoops. All right. I'm gonna use both hands and really start rubbing good. Whoops. Oh, see, I can see underneath here that this is not really wet. Whoa, I almost knocked that down with my slippery hands. So some fibers need a lot more water, clearly. All right, there we go. We fixed that. Now I'm wondering about this top edge. No, that one's pretty saturated. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to tuck these under. So if you're doing this with your children, then this would be a good time maybe to tell a story or something like that, because this does take a little bit of time. Oops. Just corner, man. I don't know what the deal is. Does not want to keep that water soaked in. All right, tucking those edges. Okay. Whoops. All right. So you're just going to want to keep rubbing, you should start to see it get shorter. And I mean the fibers, they're sticking together. You see that? They're not separating. But we got to make sure everybody's like that before we move on, right? So I'm going to focus on any areas that I'm not sure are completely felted. I feel like the red section is probably pretty good. It's not like our work is done, right? We still have to roll it and all that. Uh-oh, look at that. That's not good. We got a hole. Okay, so I've got excess stuff right here. What I'm going to do, let's go ahead and put that right over the hole. I'm not really sure how that happened. Maybe my fibers got pulled. All right, we're going to add some soapy water right on top of that. Cover that up. Use the soap right directly on there. So in case this situation happens to you, you'll know what to do. All right, so I'm just pushing, making sure that soap's really in there. And now I'm gonna rub that little spot where the hole was. So we need those fibers to lock onto each other. I added extra soap because of it being a hole. Like, you really want to get those fibers felted together. I'll just spread out that soapy situation. Especially because this section, it's like the wool keeps drying. It's really bizarre. I think it's because it's off the mat so much. Maybe it's getting on the towel and it's kind of drying, and it's weird. So this is not like felting the way I want it to, and I have to keep adding more water. All right. So I'm just gonna really soap up that corner. Felt. Yeah, it's like off the bubble wrap, so it's not felting as good. So I'm lifting up the corner just to felt that one area without, you know, messing up the whole sheet of felt. So if you've got any other corners or edges that are not on the sheet, then I would recommend that you just shift the sheet. Whoops, yeah, this whole thing is not felted. That's not good. I'm almost out of water. All right. So I'm gonna just saturate that. Little section here. So if you overlay your wool, like apparently I did, then this is what you can do, is just to shift over so the rest of my mat is not being disturbed. All right, and obviously you can see too the hole has been filled in. There is no hole now, so that's fantastic. So this is a little bit bigger than the sheet here. And then we've got a little bit of a hole here. So we're gonna need to add a few more fibers from there. So I wonder if I can pull, like these edges aren't completely felted. It's hard to do this when you've got wet hands, wet soapy hands. I'm gonna actually grab a piece of wool that has not been already felted down to fill in these holes, because that's not helping me. Okay, so we're just gonna add 2 more pieces right here on top. Yeah, I don't have any water, do I? All right, I'm gonna go get some water to fix this other hole. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, I've got water, so I'm gonna pour that over the top of where the hole is. Okay. Oopsie. I'm trying to shift it onto the camera. Make sure you can see. Okay, so I'm gonna put the tool over the top of that, and then I'm gonna get that wet. I'm gonna make sure my fibers are not bunching up. My new fibers. Okay, so because I want to make sure that they lock into place before I start rubbing, otherwise they will start to shift, and that's not good. We don't want that. Then you get big lumpy bumpies and ugly stuff. You don't want that. All right, so we're just gonna keep rubbing that into place, lock those new fibers into the pre-felted sheet that we got. You can see that this area is super saturated. There's a lot of water moving because I'm adding new fibers. So I really want to make sure that they're solidified, super saturated, so that that will connect to what's already there. Now, I will say you have to catch these things early, because if this was like really felted, then we would not be able to add wool to fix any of the holes. All right. So it is, for the most part, connecting. I need to just right there. And I'm going to kind of try to run off some of that extra water a little bit there. All right, and so then this top corner up here is looking a bit of a mess. It's a little raggedy. So I'm just going to rub that whole corner. That's the piece I pulled off. Wow, see? You just kind of rub just the edge onto the bubbles. It's going to make that look so much nicer, more finished. Because right now it's scraggly. Now, obviously it doesn't matter because we're going to be using this as a sheet of felt to cut leaves from. It's not going to be a playmat, so the edges aren't as important. But like, you know, up here I can see my edges are looking a little bit messy. So I'm just gonna rub, 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 rub. Make it look a little bit better. Okay. All right, so this is the point, whoops, that, oh, I need to work this edge real quick. Hold on one second. All right, this is not looking so fantastic over here. see there's like a little bit of a hole over here too. So I'm wondering if I can just fold that edge over to fix that. The edge is not staying. Now this edge might be too felted for this to work, and that's okay, because you know we're cutting out leaf patterns. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It's all okay. Like that hole's at the very bottom, but that just shows like when you're doing this, you want to be careful, because if you pull the fibers too far apart, if you're being too rough, then you're gonna get holes. So now we are gonna want to roll this up. So I'm going to just do this with the dowel without doing the towel just yet. So I am going to bring this whole sheet down. Okay, and put my tool back over the top. Okay. And then I am going to roll this up. Pull everything tight and roll it. Now I'm doing it like this so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so you're gonna want to just, you know, push down and roll it away from you, and then roll it towards you, keeping it all bunched up. So if you've got rubber bands or like old t-shirt that you can cut to like make ties, you can use that to hold the ends. You don't have to. Some people like doing that better, but you don't have to do that. So you're going to want to keep rolling this way for like, I don't know, 20 rolls maybe. Keep track. Okay, and then after you've done that, I'm going to unroll this and rotate it around. Okay. Oopsie. Okay, so you can see, like, because I rolled it that way, it's going to start shrinking that way. So now, let's get that tool back on top. Okay, and then we're going to start at the end. So we've rotated, okay? We were here, now we've moved over here. Then you're going to do this side, and then this side. Let me back it up. All right, you want to be like on the edge. Now, I recommend rolling this up normally in a clean, dry towel so that the extra water that comes out will be absorbed into the towel. Plus, you're gonna have a side that gets exposed. So it's good if you've got a towel. This is a wet towel, but you know, I'm just trying to give you the idea. Okay, so you're gonna wanna, you know, move your hands up and down this as you're rolling it so that everything is getting felted nicely. And you're gonna wanna do that 20 times on each side. All right, so keep doing that and I'll check back in with you in a few minutes. Okay, so you should have at this point have felted every single side, right? At least 20 rolls, so that it really brings the felt in, condenses it in more, so you're not going to have a lot of bare spots or anything like that when you're holding this up. You're like, okay, so it's came in. Each direction you roll it in is where it's going to shrink. So you roll it this way, it's going to shrink this way. You roll it this way, it's going to shrink this way. So it'll compact those fibers into a nice strong sheet. So now we're going to let this dry overnight so that we can then cut out the leaves and start making our garland. All right.